Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So I think there's a huge opportunity right now. Huge opportunity for Bitcoin miners and huge opportunity to buy Bitcoin. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, even 4th of July weekend. So make sure you hit that notification bell and tune in 11:30, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, CryptosRUs.com, and maybe one other service coming down the road. All right, welcome guys. It's gonna be a light weekend, light volume, but we're seeing some good movement today, and I do believe we're presented a golden opportunity right now, and let me explain why I think so. All right, so Bitcoin is doing better, 34,500. I kind of guessed that this weekend, 4th of July weekend for those of us in the U.S., lighter volume, a lot of people traveling, a lot of people having barbecues, hanging out with their families and so forth. Not as many people that are trading. And usually with low volume weekends, you see some volatility, but I think the volatility is going to help us in this case and bring Bitcoin higher. And that's because, you know, the downside, in my opinion, is much more limited than the upside. We were hovering around 33, 32,000. And if we're moving along in this channel, you know, the next step up is for Bitcoin to retake that 40, 41,000 mark, and we could see that this weekend, or this long weekend for some of us in the US. But anyways, with that said, there's a huge opportunity right now that I want to talk about, and that relates to this. Bitcoin mining is now easier and more profitable as the algorithm adjusts after China crackdown. This is one of the fundamental things about Bitcoin that not a whole lot of people pay attention to or understand, and that is how the network operates, how the miners, how they contribute their hash power, and how the code, the network, self-adjusts every 2 weeks. So this is very relevant, and actually a fantastic thing, because China is shutting down or kicking out about 90% of its Bitcoin miners. 90%, although it's important to note, not 100%. They're still keeping 10% around, and that's important. But kicking out 90% of the Bitcoin miners out there. And look at it, farms like this have thousands to tens of thousands of mining machines. It's not easy to just move. It's not easy to just pick up one day and move to the US the next. It takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of money, a lot of time, and that is why the total hash power for Bitcoin network has gone down significantly over the last month or two, which is why the Bitcoin network adjusts. And every 2 weeks it adjusts and has been adjusting downwards, meaning that it's much easier to solve the algorithm and find the Bitcoin with a block. Okay, so the miners, depending on how many are trying to solve this algorithm, the Bitcoin network will either adjust upwards in terms of difficulty or adjust downwards. And for the last three adjustment periods, Bitcoin has been adjusting downwards because the miners are shutting off from China, getting kicked out. So this latest one is actually the biggest one in Bitcoin's history, almost 28% down. And previous to that, about 5% down, and previous to that, about 16% down. So if you add all that up, that's about 50% drop. That shows you how much hash power, or how much miners were really operating in China and now are forced out. So why is this a good thing though? Why is this an opportunity? Well, think about it. You have 50% of the contributors to the network now not in one centralized region. It's actually out of China. They're getting out of China, so Bitcoin as a network as a whole is getting more decentralized. That's fantastic. That's why I've always argued all this FUD about, miners shutting down and so forth. This is actually a fantastic thing. Here's the other thing too. If you are a Bitcoin miner, or if you happen to run mining machines, ASIC machines, you don't have to be a large farm. You can have, let's say, a few, or a dozen, or you run a smaller farm. This is actually fantastic, because that means starting from today, because today is when things adjusted, starting from today, you're making 50% more Bitcoin basically versus about a month ago. And this will continue on for another 2 weeks, because every 2 weeks, the difficulty adjusts. So within this 2 weeks time span, you're basically making from last week 30% more than what you made. And if you look at going back a month or so, you're making a full 50% more than before. And that's really good. So if you're a miner, this is definitely an opportunity, right? You want to spin up as much machines that you have, because a lot of miners, especially North American miners, they buy a whole bunch of machines and they just keep it there. They don't spin it up because they have a schedule and so forth. But right now would be a golden opportunity for all of them to spin up all the machines out there, because for the next 2 weeks, you're basically going to really kill it with mining Bitcoin. So that's the first thing. And you might be thinking, well, Jordan, I'm not a miner, so this really doesn't matter, right? Well, it still matters that we're having this decentralization of mining of Bitcoin. So that is fantastic. But here's the other thing. Why this is such a golden opportunity to also buy Bitcoin, not just mine Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. And that's because if you look at it, we had 3 consecutive adjustment periods for Bitcoin that was in the negative, okay? That doesn't happen often. In fact, the last time we have seen this was back in 2018. So if you go down, you could see a lot of adjustments were all greens, like 4 consecutive weeks here, but you see 2 here, 1 here for negatives. For downwards, here's 2 together. There's a ton of greens. So there's a lot of upwards. The Bitcoin difficulty has been jumping tremendously over the last few years, but you keep going down, 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 and down. When was the last time Bitcoin actually had 3 consecutive reds for difficulty adjustment? Did I skip it? Oh, I think I skipped it already. I went a little too far. The last time was here, back in November and December of 2018. So you had 7, 15, 9%, right? And you know what happened then? That was the bottom for Bitcoin. That was when Bitcoin went from $6,000 to $3,100. How many of us wish that we could have bought more Bitcoin at $3,100? Again, to put things in perspective, people are complaining about 34,000 Bitcoin when just a few years ago it was at 3,100. So, but yeah, why this is relevant is because the last time Bitcoin had 3 consecutive difficulty adjustments in the red, in the negative, was a bottom, an absolute bottom for Bitcoin at 3,100. Then it started slowly recovering. 4,000s, 5,000s, got back up to 6,000s, and then it hovered there for a little bit before it started heading up to 10,000. So, is this a bottom indicator? There's a lot of metrics right now, a lot of signals or patterns, models that indicate that Bitcoin is at a bottom, right? This is another bottom indicator, I believe. This doesn't happen very often. In fact, if you go back just in history, I think it only happened a couple of times. This is a very rare thing. And all the previous times where this happened, it signaled a bottom. So that is very, very, very significant. So this is why I think it's a great opportunity for Bitcoin miners. And it's not too late for you to start mining Bitcoin too. You just have to get some ASIC mining machines, which should be pretty easy, pretty cheap and pretty easily done these days. So it's a great time for miners. and great time for North American miners, especially ones in the US, to really jumpstart and grab market share. And also, I believe it's a great time to be buying Bitcoin. We know that Bitcoin has been stuck in this, range of 41,000, 31,000 for quite some time, right? It's ready to break out. I've shown you guys how much money is sitting on the sidelines. Billions upon billions upon billions of dollars from Germany to just US citizens to hedge funds. There's a lot of money out there, right? And let's not forget Grayscale and Michael Saylor and the usual people that keep buying more and more Bitcoin, right? So this could be a golden opportunity. I think a huge opportunity to buy and mine Bitcoin at this point in time. All right, what else is there? The only thing is here. So I've talked about this before. I saw this. I think it's worth talking about because there is some worry about Bitcoin possibly selling off because of Grayscale. Now, why is this? Well, because there's a big GBTC unlocking that's happening mid-July. And there's about 16,000 Bitcoins. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it's about 16,000 Bitcoins. Quite honestly, 16,000 Bitcoins will be easily absorbed by the whole market. 16,000, it's not like 160,000 being unlocked, but 16,000. But there's a lot of people that's talking about this, saying that, hey, this could bring more down pressure, right? If the whales, the institutions that bought in GBTC 6 months ago and they want to sell some off, they could do so. And about 16,000 Bitcoins will be unleashed mid-July. But here's the thing. GBTC's premium is at a negative right now. So it's actually smarter to buy GBTC than sell. It's actually much smarter to buy than to sell, because essentially if you're selling at a discount versus the NAV, which is the net asset value. So it would really be silly for them to sell unless they bought Bitcoin at a very, very low price and they want to take some profits. But if you look at where Bitcoin was 6 months ago, it was roughly around here, between 30 to 40,000. So this is the unlock period for Grayscale is every 6 months. So it's unlikely that these institutions that bought in 6 months ago would be selling now, because they're either breaking even or they're taking a loss, right? So in fact, I think this could actually be, again, a buying opportunity, because there is a negative premium right now. So basically you're buying at a discount versus the NAV of Grayscale. So I think this is also a positive thing, not a negative thing as a lot of people would like to make it out to be. So that's another thing. Just want to add that in there. And finally, for those of you guys that are Ethereum fans, you know what? The London fork enters the testnet on Ethereum as a difficulty bomb sees delay. It's funny that Vitalik and crew actually built in a difficulty bomb. They built it in very early because they knew it was going to be hard to push the miners to move to proof of stake, to become stakers rather than miners. So he actually set it in code, every so often, the difficulty just increases dramatically, which is why it's called difficulty bomb, and so much so that it becomes unprofitable to mine Ethereum. But because Ethereum 2.0 has been delayed quite a bit over the years, every single fork or upgrade has been basically delaying the difficulty bomb more and more and more. But it's just kind of funny for those of you guys that aren't aware of that. But you know what? A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of hype around this next London fork that will introduce EIP 1559, among other ones, improvement protocols. But the biggest one people want to see is 1559, because that will add a burning mechanism to Ethereum and also help adjust and control the gas fees that quite frankly sometimes is outrageous. Right now we don't see it as much, but back in April and May, it was insane. It was insane to make a trade on, say, Uniswap or SushiSwap. It was like $150. I mean, think about it, right? And to make any kind of transfer, it was about $30, $50. I mean, it was insane. So hopefully this does control a little bit, especially when the market comes back up, when things start recovering, heading to their previous highs, right? And everything else picks up. Hopefully this will help curb some of that and actually make Ethereum more deflationary too. So that's also pretty good. All right, guys. I think that's it. You know what? I want to pull up the crypto greed index. I just want to see what this is at. So yeah, right now we're still hovering the low 20s. Okay, 10 is pretty much bottom. 20s is still fearful. But I like to look at this as a bottom indicator. I've mentioned this over the last few weeks. When you have certain periods where Bitcoin is just stuck towards the bottom like this, when you have like a group, right? And that's what we're seeing right now, though this is a little bit more spread, but still you can see there's a big group forming, right? These were times where Bitcoin formed the bottom. This is November, December of 2018, and it correlates with when Bitcoin had 3 difficulty adjustments in the red, right? Also over here, April, March, and April 2020, when Bitcoin also fell down to 3,800, the difficulty went 2 adjustments in red, not 3. And what we're seeing right now, it sure looks to me like a bottom indicator, how we're just hovering here for quite some time, and it's just forming that base, right? So this is also something I'm paying attention to, not so much day to day, but as a whole, I think this could be used as a bottom indicator as well. All right, lastly, let's look at, because today's pretty good, 1.43 trillion market cap. If you look at my portfolio that I built last week, 5,600, not too bad, not too bad. And things are just because I'm curious, looking at what are the biggest gainers for the last week. Ethereum is up 23%. That's pretty darn good. Cardano up 14, VeChain up 23, Solana up 21. So you have really good gains with these big caps. Polygon's a little bit weak at 8%. Chainlink, same thing. Binance Coin, I'm really surprised at Theta. Theta, week over week, even with their new mainnet, down 3%. So Theta could be one to DCA next week when I do it on Wednesday. And then you have Dogecoin at 2%. Cosmos at 5%, but I just bought Cosmos this last Wednesday. So, and then BPRO's up 21% too. So overall, not too bad. Not too bad. And all right, I'll turn to you guys for some Q&A, and then I'll let you guys go. I haven't been paying attention to the chat, so let me see. Vernon says, can you say hello to my daughter? She thinks the start is great and always looking to say my name. Vernon, what's your daughter's name, though? You didn't say what her name was, but shout out to your daughter. Oz, how good is it mining in OZ using solar during the day? Australia probably gets a ton of sunlight, so it'd be perfect place to be mining with free solar energy. The amount of U.S. miners being turned back on would be great news come next week. Running out of FUD, looking. I mean, yeah. I don't even know what FUD could be told at this point. But you know, then again, those market makers, they could think of a lot of stuff. They could turn good things into bad news. But right now, there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of bad news. It's just this is good recovery and finding a bottom and continuing forward. Since Swag Stake Pool is here, I gotta give a shout out who is a sponsor. If you are holding on Cardano and you want to stake it in a pool, check out Swag Stake Pool. He has some very nice videos, shows you step by step how to stake even directly from your ledger. Pretty darn easy and safe. Ricky, I appreciate that. Linda asks, what exchanges are the best and safest to trade on? There's no need to shout, Linda. There's a lot. There's a lot. You know, if you want a fiat one, meaning that you're going to use cash to buy, I suggest going with like Gemini or Coinbase. But then you have other options like Kraken, Voyager. But, you know, I think Gemini and Coinbase are the easiest to start out with. But later on, as you expand, you want to buy more tokens, then you look at some, I would say, crypto exchanges, more like KuCoin and Binance.us and others, right? But if you're starting out, you know, start out with the basic ones. Also, if you're a stock trader and you really, really, really just want to stick with the basics, like, I don't know, like Bitcoin and Ethereum or Dogecoin, and you really don't want to get into too much of the technical stuff, then you can also use something like Webull too. I'm just seeing a whole lot of chat, but not real questions. How do you mine? Well, there's a lot of articles about it. If you're trying to mine Bitcoin, you got to get an ASIC mining machine, and then you just run some code, and that's it. It's not that hard. Man, there's a lot. Okay, now the beginning. Kenneth asks, how would GBTC selling affect the market? It's not like it's being sold on a spot exchange. Grayscale still owns a BTC, or am I mistaken? Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not going to affect. It's not like selling on a spot market, right? But I guess there is this fear that if these institutions are selling, there's more shares available. And if people aren't buying those shares, then Grayscale will somehow have to readjust their Grayscale trust and have to sell off the Bitcoin in the OTC market. I think, I'm going to be 100% honest, I think that's how it works, although I was told that the trust never really sells any Bitcoin. But because if there's a lot of shares being sold, I guess they would have to do that. That's actually a good question. I honestly, I got to do more research into it. But I know it's not being sold on the spot market. That's for sure. HP Addict said, I sold my sports car and buying the dips. Can buy another one later. Well, later you could buy another 2 or 3 or 10. So think about that. Sage, first time to, happy that you're here. Varsity, I'm kind of neutral on Varsity. I think they're trying to get into esports and stuff, but overall they're a plug-in for videos and counting views and making sure they're legit. I think they're okay. I'm just not very bullish on them. Matt says, I got my wife to watch your feed for the first time yesterday and she loved it. She said she learned so much about the impact of inflation from just one stream. You are the professor. Yeah, I appreciate it. I think most... I hate to make a general statement like that, but I think a lot of wives or spouses that aren't really into crypto and they watch me and they're like, what the hell is he talking about, right? But if you have interest in learning, I think people will learn a lot from my streams. But thanks for the confirmation. Any reason why Veed pumped VimWorld? Yes, they did move. So I was actually talking to the founder, and I'm gonna go do something with Vim World pretty soon. But they had to transist all their NFTs from one platform to another, and it was completed. So it was more of a technical thing, and people liked it. That's why it pumped. Dope. Thank you. Georgie is her name. She's 7. Well, hi, Georgie. Miles says, "What's up? Let's collab sometime." Well, maybe. Send me an email. Best places to source ASIC miners. You know what? I have not looked for a long time. There are a lot of distributors out there, Bitmain is the manufacturer, and they kind of just like distribute around. I know there's a lot of places that sell it, and you could even go on eBay and buy it too. So I have not looked for a very long time, so I can't name any companies right off the bat. If you could live anywhere, where would it be? I don't know. I don't know. Somewhere nice, of course, tropical, but not too hot. Dope. Dope. Thank you again. When are the plaid accelerations coming? Well, I'll tell you, it's just quite brutal, and I have not done a drag launch yet. So soon, I guess, soon. What else? Did I miss anything else? Going down. Do you believe $1 vet in by December too bullish? I think it's about right. Actually, it's bullish, but I think it's about right. I think it's actually definitely doable. Can I get your opinion on LTO Network? They're a project covered earlier this year. Really focused. Rick is the CEO, lawyer, really focused on KYC and being compliant with the regulators. And they are. They have a hybrid and public chain, really cater to businesses. So I think they're a promising project. Rob, stop spreading FUD. No, I'm answering everything. Here's a question. Have you talked about Sailor Dorsey and their stance at ETH or your Vegas con? I have. I was actually very critical with Michael with his recent interview with Ben Cohen. And I talked about Ethereum and basically his stance. I think I don't want to share anymore because a lot of it I've shared before, but I have. And I've shared my stance on Jack too. You just didn't watch every one of my videos. But I don't like your accusation about, how you just never address it. I address them plenty. Ali, I already talked about Varsity just a few minutes ago. When does Engine launch staking? They're launching their Efinity chain or NFT marketplace for Polkadot. I know that's coming. That's their next big thing. Are you a Celsius fan? I've never used them, but I hear good things about them. The only negative thing recently was they lost one of their custodians, and the other custodian is being sued. I don't know if it's frivolous or not. But I hear good things about them. But me being in the U.S., I like to go with the big boys, and that's BlockFi. And even though they don't pay out the highest interest, but I trust them the most being they are in the U.S., which is heavily regulated. Plus, they're using two of the biggest custodians, Coinbase and Gemini. So both are insured. So I think there's just a lot of trust there. When is the best day to buy when you're doing DCA? There's two things. You could just set it on a schedule. Like with this sample portfolio, I'm doing it every Wednesday. So you could do it like every week, once per week or twice a week, whatever you want, or once a month or once bi-weekly, right? So you could set it by a schedule so you ignore the price and you just buy regardless. Or you can wait for the dips. And the dips, you set it. Is it every 10% down, 15%, 20% down, right? You make your own assessment and you can buy some in, or you try to just buy when you think it's a bottom, right? But that's really, really, really hard. There's really no right or wrong answer. All right, last few questions. Helium, I hear is still very profitable, which is why you can't find those miners. P-Dog, 50K per wallet limited lifted yesterday or today. Okay. Why was there a limit in the first place? There was no reason for for a limit. But anyways, I'm not gonna look into that. I appreciate the super chat, but that just, to me, it looks like a meme coin, like Dogecoin built on Polkadot. Waterfly, happy 4th to you and your family as well. Thank you. Patrick, I agree with you. That's why I was kind of critical in my response video. But I still want to get Sailor to come on this channel. I'm talking to his guy right now. Hopefully we can make that happen sooner than later. Carbon released the most secured messenger in the world. What's your thoughts on Carbon? I don't know too much about it. It's, well, according to this, it has no volume. So hopefully that is wrong. But very low market cap, and they're dead. Is this right? No, it's probably this one. Okay, it's probably this one because the other one's a dead project. Private, secure social, brand new reward social platform with a heavy focus on you, the user. That doesn't sound like a messenger at all. It's a rewards platform. Okay. There's a few in this space that does this. Maybe they do have a secure messaging. This looks a lot like, like a Twitter or Facebook, something like that. Yeah, very, very, very low market cap, not on the greatest exchanges. Okay, so. All right, that's it. Last question, Balancer. I forgot what Balancer was. Automated portfolio manager trading platform. Portfolios that generate yield and rebalance automatically. Okay. Kind of like a fund. That's what it sounds like. You invest into these funds and they kind of rebalance based on some algorithm. I guess it could work. But for me, I just like to control my own portfolio. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go. Hopefully, you guys have some good plans this weekend. Hopefully, you're hanging out with family or traveling or just taking a little breather from crypto. But I do think today is pretty darn good. Now, besides the fact that Bitcoin and overall market is up slightly, yes, but I do think it's great because there is an opportunity right now with the algorithm, right? With Bitcoin's algorithm and how the difficulty adjusted downwards, I think there's a great opportunity for not only miners, right? You could get into mining, or if you are a miner, I think this is a great opportunity, but also I think this could be a bottom indicator because the last time we saw this happen, 3 consecutive downs for adjustment, that was back in November, December of 2018. And that's when Bitcoin hit a low of 3,100. So this also could mean it's a bottom indicator and a great time, a great opportunity to buy. So there you go. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tonight if you're around at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.